Back in August, I made a short video where I talked about my decision to switch from writing nonfiction to writing fiction. I'll link that video at the end of this one. 5 months later, here's an update on where I am now. Hi everyone, I'm Linda Maxey, the author of the Library Lynn Guides to Superlative Nonfiction. When I started writing books around 4 years ago, I figured I would spend the rest of my life finding hidden nonfiction gems and sharing them with the world. But after about 2 years, one day it hit me. I wanted to try my hand at fiction writing. As I explained in that video, it happened right after my second book came out, and I came across a genre that I had never heard of before. Cozy fantasy. Something just clicked. I loved the sound of it. I read some cozy fantasy books and I enjoyed them immensely. I also had an idea for a book just pop into my head and it wouldn't let me go. After doing more reading and exploring, it turns out that my idea doesn't really fit into cozy fantasy as well as it fits into the women's paranormal fiction genre. But it is cozy. It just has more tropes in common with women's paranormal fiction. Okay, so what have I been doing in the past 5 months when it comes to writing? Well, first, I either write or work on this material for an hour or two. Most days, I try to do that Mondays through Fridays. I can't always find time to do that much. I mean, after all, I am creating this YouTube channel. I have a family, close friends, relatives to attend to. And I can't afford a housekeeper. A clean house is crucial to my mental health, so I spend a fair amount of time on that. But at least I am committed to spending 1 to 2 hours 5 days a week. Next, I've read several craft books on writing. There were 2 that I have found especially helpful that I'll share with you today. One I discussed in a previous video, The Emotional Craft of Writing by Donald Moss. For me, it was encouraging and such a game changer. I won't spend a lot of time talking about this one because I covered it in a video that I'll link below. But Moss, a former editor, talks about character development and the necessity of building an emotional connection of some sort between your readers and your characters. He has wonderful examples of what he's talking about, and he provides targeted exercises to help you work his points into your manuscript. This is my first novel and I am still experimenting, but the way I used his book was by applying it to my story outline. I made a story outline and then I went back and inserted material from his exercises into appropriate places in the plot. This was super helpful for me. The next thing I did was to take a class through the Writing Center called Crafting Fiction, Element by Element. The class was on Zoom, and it was taught by a well-respected fiction writer, Liz Polliner, and she was awesome, and it lasted 7 weeks. We met live for 2 hours every Thursday evening. This class was an invaluable learning experience for me. We spent time discussing character development, setting, and point of view. I learned an awful lot from that class, just from her examples, from participation, and from the other wonderful people in the class with me. We read out loud to one another things we had written, we reacted to one another's work and made suggestions. The teacher was patient, encouraging, but also persistent in helping us understand what makes good writing great. If you're interested in writing, I can't recommend the organization enough. They recommend writing consultants and coaches. They're located in Bethesda, Maryland, but many of their classes and workshops are offered on Zoom. I'm sure they can be found all over the place in this country and in other countries as well. I'll leave a link to the one I used below. And I will add here that once I finished my novel's first draft and went back to reread it, I could tell that my writing had gotten better as the class progressed. Now, let me pause here and tell you a little bit about what I've actually written. I've written the entire novel's first draft, and I have written, revised, and I'm getting ready to publish a prequel short story that ties into the novel. I'll talk more about that in a future video because soon it will be available to you for free. Okay, moving on. About the time in early December that I finished writing the novel's first draft, I started reading this book, Revision and Self-Editing for Publication, Techniques for Transforming Your First Draft into a Novel That Sells, 2nd edition by James Scott Bell. I read through this book like the Moss book with an ink pen in my hand and a notebook at my side. I'm still making my way through his suggestions before I tackle revising my novel. At his suggestion, I gave my first draft to a couple of people who like to read the sort of thing I'm writing. I hope I didn't lose 2 friends in the process. I should have gone back and read that first draft beforehand. Like most first drafts, it's rough. I guess that's why they call them a rough draft. But I'm hoping that my friends will be patient with me. But whether they can wade through my draft or not, I feel a lot more confident with this book by my side. I figure he has a lot more experience in writing fiction than I do, and it can't hurt to at least give his advice a shot. This is a Writer's Digest book. Bell has written another book for them on plot and structure. I've been impressed with this book, and I will most likely buy the other book in the coming year. My plan is to read new books and take new classes as time and finances allow, and continue to get better at my writing craft. And finally, just this past weekend, I attended a local writers' conference. It was my first writers' conference ever. Now, there is a delay between this filming and the time the video will come up. So by the time you see this, it will have been probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. But I live in Virginia, so I went to the Roanoke Regional Writers' Conference, and it was such a wonderful experience. I learned a lot in the classes. Local writers and storytellers talked about live storytelling, AI, maintaining tension in fiction, building author platforms, and how to write killer first lines. And those are just the ones I went to. Many other topics were covered. I mainly went for the classes, for the learning, but I also met some really nice people. I connected with a writing buddy. I even met another YouTuber who lives not too far from me. I'll link his channel, Bald and Balding, in the description box below. He and his brother interview local people on books and bookish topics. I'm grateful to everyone who helped make the conference a reality and to those who were kind and gracious to a newbie like me. So that's what I've been learning. Where am I now? Well, as I said, my short story should be out soon. I'm having someone design a brand spanking new website for me. I'll keep librarylyn.com for the foreseeable future, and I'll add to the blog occasionally, but soon my website will be the best place to keep up and connect with me. I'll be sure to let you know when it's up and the short story is available. If you sign up for my newsletter, you'll get a copy of the story free of charge. I send out my newsletter twice a month. They're very short. I just let you know what's going on in my world, and you get first shot at reading what's available. And I plan to be giving out freebies at some point in the future as well. But right now, I'm just trying to get it up and running. I'm getting ready to start my novel revisions soon. Once I'm happy with the revisions, I'll send them off to my beta readers. And once I revise the final time, I'll send it off to a copy editor for a final polish. I'll most likely run it by a proofreader too. My hope is to have the book published by July of this year. I can't promise, but that's the hope. So that's it for me today. What I'm reading now? Well, I started reading Writing Down the Bones by Natalie Goldberg, and The 10,000 Doors of January by Alex E. Haro is my fiction buddy right now. What are you reading? Are you a fan of any of the cozy genres? How about women's paranormal fiction? Leave a comment about this or anything else on your mind below. For nonfiction recommendations, you can check out my books, Library Lyn's curated collection of superlative nonfiction, and Library Lyn's biographies, autobiographies, and memoirs. And until next time, happy reading.